So I think we should get the obvious thing out straight away. Colin's back again. Yay! So I hope everybody's had a nice Halloween. I do believe the way that this will be edited and no doubt actually uploaded, it will now be the end of Halloween and Bonfire Night. So I hope that you all had a nice one of them, especially if you're in the UK, because you had Bonfire Night as well. I know that other countries don't normally do that, but hey, we like to celebrate about somebody who nearly tried to burn down Parliament for some reason. But anyway, it's now November, meaning the countdown to Christmas is finally here, and also meaning Big Finish have finally started their monthly range with the good old 6th Doctor is back again for November, and I do believe a double bill of the monthly range in December, which I'm very looking forward to. First off, as a little bit of a bulletin and an overview of what we've got coming in the next few months for the 6th Doctor, of course this time I'm going to be taking a look at November's release, which is Order of the Daleks, and then that's followed up by a further 2 stories as per normal with a Doctor trilogy. So we have Absolute Power, that I do believe I'm probably guessing is coming out either late November or early December, and then we of course have the final monthly range edition of the year, which is Quicksilver with the return of Flip, which is all very exciting, especially because Flip is one of my favourite companions, and I do believe that that is going to be released sort of very late December, if not early January, something like that, in order to start the new year on a completely fresh release for January. So it's all very exciting and I can't wait to get into it. First off, Order of the Daleks. The Daleks are back in the monthly range, I do believe, for the first time in quite a while. I think the last release that we actually seen them in was We Are the Daleks, which was a 7th Doctor story back in 2015, I do believe. I think that they normally limit them to at least 1 monthly range appearance per year. Of course, we've had many other Dalek stories this year, I do believe, in the War Doctor box set. I do believe, in fact, that might be it. I can't really remember. But yeah, don't quote me on that. But yeah, this is the only monthly range release for this year with the Daleks, and so it's all very exciting. And it has to be with Colin, doesn't it? Because I love Colin with the Daleks. He's always had very good stories with them. This one is no exception, because you have the Daleks back, the 6th Doctor is back, but this time the Daleks look a lot more snazzier than usual. So as always, in the description below, I believe the link to go and buy this release from the Big Finish website. It's out now and it is $14.99. Along with on the link below, there will be the trailer as well if you want to listen to that. As well, I highly recommend taking a look at the other 6th Doctor adventures coming out for the rest of this year as well. Getting straight into Order of the Daleks, it's a very exciting release and one of which I've been very excited for. One, for the fact, of course, that my favourite Doctor is back, and 2, because the Daleks on the front cover look absolutely bloody brilliant. If in case you've not seen it, basically the Daleks are in sort of this very churchy style of stained glass window format. Doesn't that look cool? But yeah, it's all very snazzy and I absolutely love it. I think that this is possibly the most glamorous looking the Daleks have ever been seen, and yeah, it was definitely something special for this story, which of course if you've listened to it you will know exactly why that they're like this. But yeah, it's a very intriguing idea, of one of which I was very excited to see exactly how they would do it. First off, I'm going to be taking a look at the characters, and there's quite a few actually for this story that I'm going to be taking a look at. So we have Colin Baker, of course, who is playing the wonderful 6th Doctor, and we all know what's coming. He was absolutely brilliant in this story. Once again, he's probably the best Big Finish Doctor. I personally feel, I think that his voice suits audio absolutely brilliantly. He had some brilliant comedic moments in there. He was very funny in parts, especially towards the beginning. He had some brilliant moments as well where he was very stern and very angry, and overall it was a great balance between the 6th Doctor from the show, a very angry version, as well as this very fluffy side as well, which I really did enjoy. And there was quite a few times in the story where I really did crack some laughs. So yeah, it's really nice to see him back once again. Absolutely brilliant, on top form as per usual. I absolutely adored him. I think this is possibly one of the best Doctor performances that I've probably seen throughout this year on the monthly range. I'm hoping that they keep the bar high for the rest of the adventures on this current trilogy, because, well, I have no doubt that they won't. But yeah, absolutely brilliant. Loved him in the story. Then we have the companion, who not many people know about because she only just came into it last year on the 6th Doctor box set, End of the Line. And then we also had a few adventures with her at the back end of last year, including the first ever one that I in fact reviewed in its current format, being Crisscross. So yeah, we had Branda Rayson, who plays Constance Clark, which, as I say, is somebody who came into it last year in the episode Crisscross, and basically she's one of the Wren Clarks from World War II, I do believe. But yeah, she's a very interesting character. I've really enjoyed her so far, actually. I think that she warms so well to the 6th Doctor. Once again, this story is absolutely no exception because she's brilliant. I absolutely adore her. I think that for the majority of the story, she in fact gets split up from the 6th Doctor, where she needs to figure out different things for herself. And what I really like about her is the fact that she's different from other companions, especially compared to Perry and Mel, which are sort of the stereotypical screamy companions in the TV show anyway. Constance Clark is something completely different. She reminds me a little bit of an A-style character because she's not exactly strong because she is a Wren Clark, but she's one of those people that is sort of, I would say, strong-willed in her mind, not necessarily physically, but yeah, she's one of those ones that when she sees the Dalek for the first time, she doesn't go and start screaming. She in fact sort of questions, what the hell is that thing? And it looks quite nice, to be honest, which, not gonna lie, if I was to see someone of the Daleks in this story, I will probably agree with her. But yeah, she was brilliant in this story, really did enjoy it. I'll no doubt say more about her during this review. Also for this story, you have John Savidant, or Savendant, I don't know, but he plays Pendle, who is a sort of comedic value character for the story. He's sort of a surveyor, a galactic surveyor that goes around trying to fix things, which I'll once again come into when I go about the plot of the story. Then we have his assistant, who is Olivia Hannell, who plays Asta. Now she's once again she becomes the companion of Constance Clark throughout this story. I think once again she was very enjoyable. All of the other people you can go into on the website, but the one last major credit that I'm going to give in this review specifically is Nicholas Briggs, because of course he's playing the Daleks, and he's just brilliant as per usual. They're a little bit different sounding for this story, actually. They're sort of very menacing sounding, and they are a little bit different as they do go into sort of a different thing that they've never gone into before. He also plays another character for the story as well, as he sometimes does, but this one, I didn't really think there would be any direct link to why he's playing this character, but in the story you find out exactly why. He also plays Tenapel, which is basically the central monk emperor type of person who is the main leader of the monastery, which I'll come on to why in a little bit, and it was just absolutely brilliant the way that he voiced that character. And yeah, I think that possibly one of the best actual acting for this year, to be honest. I really did enjoy him in the story. I thought that his role was just very intriguing, very new, and very fresh as well. So going into the plot of this story now, it's one of those stories that I went into not knowing absolutely anything about. I didn't read the bio, I didn't read any of the interviews, I didn't read any of the descriptions on the website or anything like that. I went into it completely blind, not knowing what the hell was going on, except that the Daleks looked absolutely brilliant. But yeah, that was all I knew for this story, and it's one of those ones that I also felt at the same time. I must admit, when I seen the Daleks were coming back, I was pretty excited, but it also sort of made me feel, hang on, what exactly are they going to do? Which is something that I always see when the Daleks come back, especially in the new series, because by law they need to come back every single year. And I think that by now especially, I mean, I give the writers a little bit of stick sometimes, especially for the TV show of being a bit unoriginal when it comes to the Daleks, but let's face it, they've been on TV now for over 50 years, and it is going to be a little bit hard to find something original for them to do. That's what I thought when going into this story. Then by the end of it, I thought, bloody hell, they've found something new for the Daleks to do. I do think that this is the first ever time that this has been done, and basically I'm just going to get straight into what they do for the story. The Daleks hypnotise people, take over their minds, and that is exactly why I have Nicholas Briggs playing two characters, because of course he's playing Tenapel in the story, the main leader of the monastery, but he's also playing the Supreme Dalek. But those two people are in fact exactly the same person, because the mutant of the Dalek has in fact took over in symbiosis the mind of the monk. So in a way, we have the monk voicing normally as a normal human being, but instead he has a bit of a Dalek-y side to him. It sort of reminds me of that scene in Infernal Devices in the War Doctor box set where we had that very humanoid style of Dalek, maybe a little bit like Dalek Khan as well. But this one was a much more creepier style of Dalek, and once again it was basically a human or sort of an alien on this planet that has been took over by the Dalek, and it was just extremely intriguing, something brand new. And their idea for the story was the Daleks wanted to take over people by invading their minds and basically hypnotising them in order to do their work for them. It's a brand new idea, I do believe. I don't think it's ever really been done to this extent before. Of course, Daleks have hypnotised people in the past, but yeah, this is something completely different, and I really did enjoy that. Very early on in the story, we also get to know why the Daleks exactly look like this, and when I say this, I mean a church window. But yeah, for a start, it's a beautiful design. It's something completely new, and I can remember when I first seen it, Big Finish knew this is beautiful, because they put the image of it absolutely everywhere. They've shown the production shots of them making it for the cover, which is very rare to see something completely new designed for a Big Finish cover, considering that it isn't a visual medium. But yeah, this Dalek is something completely new. There's about 4 or 5 of them in the story, and basically they crash land on the planet and they don't really have any resources left. All of the other Daleks die, except a certain fraction of them, and they need to then be took to the monastery, and of course the monk people help them and try to get them back around to normal, and the Daleks realise that, hang on, these people can help us. So what they do is they give them the plans on how to make Dalek armour and things like that, and what the monks do is they make Dalek armour, but with their resources, so as in with church windows, as in with lead and things like that, and it creates this really beautiful looking design, something completely new. I would love to see something like this in the show, because it's just something completely different, and it's something that we're never going to see again. It really does sort of make this story a little bit different from all the others, because admittedly we have these Daleks that we are never going to see again. They are something completely new, but it really really does sell the story quite a lot because they are, for a start, a beautiful design. It fits in with the story very well. I could imagine these Daleks sort of wandering through the monastery, speaking with their voice, because it sort of sounds very echoey, not just because of the environment that they're in, but because of the actual display that they're in as well, in this sort of glass window texture, and it just looks beautiful. It does also allow for some very funny scenes later on where, of course, the Sixth Doctor realises that they're made of half lead, half glass, so he goes and gets a gas lamp, doesn't he, and basically starts threatening the Daleks in order to get his own way, that he's going to smash this lamp on the floor unless they don't do as they're told, and then that allows him to get by smashing the lamp and, of course, nearly setting these Daleks on fire, because with it being lead, they can just melt and things. So yeah, these Daleks do have weaknesses. They aren't exactly the most strongest of Daleks ever. If anything, you could literally just kick them and they would smash. They don't have guns, they have little prong things, so you'll just basically be poked to death, which allows, once again, for a very funny scene later on. But yeah, there's something sort of, they're not convenient at all. Sort of reminds me of the iPhone 7 style of Dalek, because fair dues, it looks nice, but it doesn't have a headphone jack. In this scenario for the Daleks, it's fair dues, it looks nice, but you could literally just kick it and it'll smash, pretty much. There we are. There's the Daleks compared to an iPhone 7. Bet you didn't expect that to be happening today. Also in the story, there is, of course, Pendle and Aster, which are these galactic census people. Basically, there's a signal coming from the planet, and because this is a grade 3 planet, which is the equivalent of a medieval style of planet, they're not allowed for people to land on it. Of course, the Doctor and Constance completely ruin that straight away, and they go and get questioned by the Galactic Survey people because they want to see where the signal is coming from on a planet that is undeveloped without sort of trying to disrupt the people. So they have a lot of different rules and regulations that, of course, the Sixth Doctor doesn't go well to, because he doesn't like rules, and we have a lot of comedic things once again in there, which was great to see. And overall, I really liked them for the story. I think that they really did make it flow quite well, having Constance sort of having Aster, and then we had Pendle being with the Sixth Doctor as well. You know, this sort of quite nice sort of temporary TARDIS team for the story, which was nice, and something that really did make the story flow. Additional people in there that, once again, we aren't going to see again, and the fact that we have these Daleks being in these weaker casings and things, it allowed the mutants to have much more of a role in the story as well. We have some very eerie scenes where Constance, in fact, finds the Daleks in the mutant casings and sort of being in these tubes, being force-fed blood from the other people and force-fed all these different things from the monks. Once again, it sort of reminds me a little bit of the Jago Lightfoot story that I've recently reviewed called The School of Blood, where I have these schoolgirls, in fact, in a rota trying to give blood to this vampire. Well, in this one, they're sort of having Daleks doing the same thing in a way, but this one's sort of a lot more forced, where we have the people that are being taken in order to extract different things. And we also saw the Daleks can talk. What they do is take away the other people's larynxes so they can then use them, so then they're able to talk. So really, it's quite a gruesome idea, and once again, something that wouldn't happen on the TV show these days, or probably anything before that, because it would be a little bit of a gruesome idea that fits the Sixth Doctor era pretty well. Also, it'd be interesting to, in fact, see the mutants have a different role in the story, because before, once again, we have this idea that the mutant is, in fact, quite weak, but there's a brilliant scene in this story where Constance and Aster go off, and they need to try and find this thing, and they go to the spaceship, and then, of course, we have the Dalek mutant crawling through the ventilation shaft in order to get to them, and we have this very eerie scene where we have a lot of different sound design in there of the Daleks sort of scurrying along, and then we have them breaking through the vent and sort of the tendril things of the mutant trying to grab Constance and things and sort of try and even strangle her, because they are quite a strong little thing, considering that they're like a little squiddy octopus thing. But yeah, it sort of works very well, and something, once again, that I've never seen before. I've never, in fact, sort of imagined a Dalek mutant, in fact, trying to strangle somebody to that extent. I know that it's sort of happened before, but not to this extent of the mutant being so active, which it sort of also shows how eager that these sort of set of Daleks are to, in fact, survive and get on and sort of contact the other Daleks in order to bring the other ones down, because they're not any Daleks, they're sort of a supreme, they're the equivalent of a cult of Skaro in a way, but of the classic series. They need to try and adapt to survive, and that's something completely new, once again, for the classic series for this point. It was something that really did, it was sort of the cult of Skaro took a little bit further, seeing exactly what they would do to try and survive without needing to have this Dalek hybrid thing added in there, you know, having sort of something the equivalent to Evolution of the Daleks and Daleks in Manhattan. This is a completely different take on that, and I'm guessing that Mike Tucker probably had a little inspiration from Evolution of the Daleks when thinking of this, because it is something sort of, if you think about it, very similar in a way. And of course, because this episode is set in a monastery, we have the monks that do these different things, different rituals and things, and sort of protect certain stuff, but these are sort of alien monks that have different beliefs and things like that. This one has a very intriguing idea where if they have this thing called the Black Petal, petal, and they can sort of take over other people's minds, and that's what the Daleks do. They want to, in order to get the power from that, and they want to be able to take over other people's minds, because that's what they've done in order to get the power from Temple, sort of the main monk person, and they want to do that to everybody else. And they are sort of, in a way, they are achieving that to an extent, but by the end of the story, of course, they are stopped. But of course, the monastery is burnt down at the end, and it explodes and things to kill the Daleks inside. But instead, because the other Daleks are on the way, the Temple and the other remaining monks decide to go off into the hills and the mountains to actually hide, and they have one remaining Black Petal type thing left, and they're going to now sort of set up their next order, which is going to be the main protection of this one petal. And if the Daleks get it, no doubt it will be able to set up some form of sequel, because they will be able to adapt these ideas once again. It reminds me a little bit of a very early style of Dalek Time Agent in a way, because something once again similar to the War Doctor box sets, but this is sort of a much more deeper version of that, where literally a Dalek mutant can take over another human being or another humanoid being and actually sort of tell them to do things in a way that human literally becomes the Dalek in a way. It's sort of a little bit like a puppet, but to more of an extent of it actually being more personal to the Dalek that's doing it in a way, if that makes sense. And once again, it's something that, as I say, I'm pretty sure that that's never been done before, and it's something exactly that I would imagine Big Finish to do, because I couldn't see this working in a way with the TV series. I think that it's something that Big Finish do very well. Once again, audio works very well with the idea of taking over the brain and different brain things and brain games and hauntings and things such as, once again, the Red Lady from Doom Coalition, which very much plays with the mind. It's something very similar to that, and once again, an idea so that the 11 or the 9 or whatever is clearly based around its idea of mind games and things like that, and it's something that once again works very well with the audio format, and Big Finish have achieved that very nicely, because the actors are just so talented and it allows them to achieve that. So yeah, I really do, I really credit them for this story, because it's once again something after 50 years worth of Dalek stories. This is something completely new that I'm confident that hasn't been done before. So if you're intrigued and actually have sort of lost a little bit of hope in the Daleks and want something completely new, this story might be high up on your list, because I know that quite a lot of Dalek stories on Big Finish are quite different, such as the Curse of Davros and things, and many of the other style of Davros stories, they've never really been too samey, but this one is something completely new, I think, and it's something completely it's something exciting, something different, and I highly recommend it for anybody who sort of lost a little bit of hope in the Daleks. And then of course, also finally, just to sort of end off, just look at this, just look at that. Look how beautiful it looks. Look how amazing. Look at the design. It's made of a freaking church window. How good is that? Yeah, that's that overall for this release. I really did enjoy it. I think it's possibly one of my favourite ones for this year, actually, on the monthly range. It's something new, it's something different. It's for the Daleks, which is something I never thought that I would actually be saying again. New and different for the Daleks. It sort of refreshes my mind of what exactly the Daleks can do, and allows to sort of open new windows for the future as well. And generally the Sixth Doctor and Constance, it's so nice to see them back again. I love them as a TARDIS team. Can't wait to see more of them. And then of course next time as well, in the next monthly range releases, as I said at the very start, we have Absolute Power, which once again has them back together again. Once again, don't know anything about that release, and if you want to find out for yourselves about that one, as I say, just go to the Big Finish website, and all the details are on there. And then the final of this trilogy is of course the return of Flip as well, which is literally the perfect Christmas present for me, because I absolutely adore Flip. So yeah, we've got some really good looking stories in fact coming up with the Sixth Doctor, and 2 in a month as well, can't argue with that. So yeah, generally overall for this release, really enjoyable, highly recommend it. So thanks for watching this review. If you enjoyed it, please do give it a big like, and please subscribe if you're not already. If any questions, please do leave them below, and I'll be sure to answer them at some point in the near future. Thanks again for watching. I shall see you all next time. So thanks for watching, and bye for now.